Hello, everybody, and welcome to From the Mezzanine, the Broadway podcast for the Broadway fans. Here we talk about all things Broadway grosses, Broadway news, and everything Tony nominations that are coming up, and all of the fun gossip and gush that happens in the Broadway stratosphere week to week. I am your host, Lindsey Stone, and like I mentioned, you guys, Tony season is upon us. When I am recording this, we are a mere week away from getting our nominations. I am brimming with excitement and anticipation. I cannot wait to embark on Tony Awards season. I love it so much, and I am trying to not give you guys Tony fatigue here on From the Mezzanine, but it is going to be the next probably month of episodes. But I don't want you to get tired of talking all Tonys, but we have so much in store. So I want to tell y'all what's coming up for From the Mezzanine in this awards season that is upon us. So today, normal Broadway news as usual. We are going to go through our biggest news stories of the week and our Broadway grosses. This Thursday is when they announce Tony nominations. I am saying this on the podcast right now. My phone will be off on Tony nomination day, because Bryn and I are waiting until we can be together to record our reactions and finally get to find out what shows are nominated for the Tony Awards, what actors, all of the things. So on Thursday, I'm going to be off. You won't be hearing a peep out of me until the evening after Bryn and I react. And our reaction will be next week's From the Mezzanine episode. However, I think we'll be able to release it a little bit early so you can all see our reactions. So next week's episode may not come out on Tuesday. It may come out a couple days before so that you guys can all react with us to the Tony nominations. And then I will be doing a Tony nomination breakdown episode the following week while I'll be in London, living it up on the West End. But I will be doing a Tony nomination breakdown on the Unlearning podcast, and we'll do a little half and half action, half of our Tony nomination breakdown on hers, half on From the Mezzanine. So we will be sharing that, and that'll be a really fun week too, to just really dive into the nominations, the snubs, the things that didn't get nominated, all of that. So that is what is coming up. And then after that, of course, I will have to do a West End recap with all of you guys. If you're watching, you see I am wearing my Fierro sweatshirt with Jonathan Bailey, and I just can't believe that I'm finally going to see him. I love him so much, so I cannot wait to go to the West End and see him perform in Richard II. I also have some fun things up my sleeve planned for the West End, so there's going to be a lot to tell y'all about, and of course I'm going to bring y'all along with me on From the Mezzanine, and mainly probably on the YouTube channel. I will definitely be vlogging all things West End, so y'all will be able to check that out over there. I'll be heading over to the West End early in May, so you can look forward to that. So that is what we have coming up. Once again, not gonna give y'all Tony fatigue, but also do y'all care? Is there such thing as Tony fatigue? Are we gonna get tired of talking about it? Probably not. And of course, this year I'm bringing back the Lindsey Stonies, where I have my own Tony Awards on the podcast, and I have so many fun ideas for that already. The Lindsey Stonies. You know what I just had an idea on? Maybe we have a little category for the listener winners, and y'all can submit who y'all want to win certain categories. So we'll have Lindsey Stonies and then the Broadway Besties Tonys. See what I mean? That would be fun. So that'll happen probably right before the Tony Awards. So we have so much coming up. I can't believe we're finally in this era again. Truly, let's sit back and think about the fact that awards season was 1 year ago. We're already back. I'm not even overwhelmed. I'm just so excited because this next month is going to be so fun. We'll have the Drama Desk Awards and everything leads up to the Tonys. And your girl, knock on wood, will let you guys know if From the Mezzanine is invited to participate in the Tonys in any capacity. Y'all will be the first to know. But I'm trying to not get my hopes up too high because I've only done it once before. but hopefully things will turn out again this year. I'm trying to do what I can to get back to that point again. And yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait for the Tonys. So with that being said, we have a lot to talk about. We need to chat about 2 shows that I saw. And these are repeat shows from literally last week. I saw Floyd Collins and Dead Outlaw. So these were both shows that I felt like didn't really hit me the first time. And I knew, especially for Dead Outlaw, that it needed to sit with me. I needed to marinate on it. And honestly, seeing it a second time, I truly loved it, you guys. Loved. And watching it, I did have the thought, I won't be surprised if this wins Best New Musical at the Tony Awards. Now I'm rooting with all my might for Maybe Happy Ending. But honestly, like if this one, if Death Becomes Her one, I would be happy. Like I would be really happy for them. I don't feel like there's one show, like last year, it was like Outsiders over everything. Like Outsiders has to win every single thing. Of course they didn't, but they did take home the big guy. But like I was so in like the thick of a theater obsession with The Outsiders at the time that I rode for it so devoutly. And I don't necessarily feel like that same burning passion for any shows this season. Although like I'm just loving the shows of the season like a lot more than I thought I would. Like Boop and Smash and Dead Outlaw now. There's just so many, and Death Becomes Her. Like there's so many great shows this season. Like truly good shows. That I'm kind of just rooting for everything. It's almost like they couldn't go wrong. So anyways, that being said, of course, Maybe Happy Ending is my number 1 favorite, but watching Dead Outlaw, I was like, wow, this really is a big contender. I finally see what everybody was saying, but it did take me another go round to feel that. I feel like I was so judgmental of it the first time. Like everybody said this is going to be Maybe Happy Ending. And so I just was going into it like with my guards up. Watching it the second time, I was like, wow, I love the cast. I really, really love the cast. And I think that it's worthy of getting quite a few cast nominations. Specifically, I would love for the guy who plays in the beginning the little brother, and then he plays like the shop staffer who's always like, gosh, damn it. That guy, I would love for him to get a nomination because he was like his acting is really good. He plays multiple characters and they're all really, really different. And I don't know, I just think he was phenomenal in his many roles that he plays in Dead Outlaw. But the person I'm talking about is Dashiell Eves. I really think he's worthy of a nomination for featured actor. And also Andrew Durand. Of course, I am dying for Darren Criss to win lead actor. But Andrew Durand is really, really incredible in Dead Outlaw, specifically in this one song that just blows your socks off. I Killed a Man in Maine. Oh, wow. He like literally has like a Mentee bee on stage and just loses his mind. And wow, is it awesome to watch. And, you know, this is having that effect on me where a lot of these shows that I love do, where I just want to round up everybody I know and take them to go and see this show. I really do. So I loved Dead Outlaw the second time. It took me 2 times to really like get it. But like I loved it. And then I also saw Floyd Collins again. And I would say that it still stands up the way that I described it last week. So I don't want to harp on it too much, but I will say the second time around, Taylor Trench is without a doubt the leading performer in this show, as well as Jason Gote makes a huge impression on me. Jason Gote was in the original Broadway cast of Bring It On. He also, my favorite, he was in Teeth, the musical. So I just adore him. And I thought he was really good. He plays Floyd Collins' brother, Homer, and Taylor Trench plays the journalist, Skeeter. And I don't see Jason Gote receiving a nomination. However, I do think if Taylor Trench receives a nomination, honestly, he's really to me the only one who deserves a nomination. I don't see how Jeremy Jordan would receive a nomination. A lot of people have told me that they think he'll be nominated. And of course, I want that for my number 1 favorite actor, period. But I just don't think Floyd Collins is that difficult of a role and that impressive of a role to play. I often feel this way, and I've never heard anybody else say it. But I sometimes feel like the lead actor in a musical is a vessel for everything else that happens around them. And they themselves are really a pretty one-dimensional character. And I felt this way in like multiple shows. For example, like the thing that comes to my mind, which is just such a deep cut for me. But like in The Three Musketeers, D'Artagnan is super just like a one-dimensional character. He doesn't get the laughs. He doesn't get like, it's not the focus. He is the focus of the musical, but everything that's happening around him is what's amazing, right? So I know that was a crazy thing to compare, but I just feel that way with a lot of these lead roles. I think Pony Boy is really a good role. I wouldn't say that that's comparable. I think like not every single show makes me feel this way, but oftentimes the lead character is just the vessel for everything else and the plot that moves forward. And yes, you care about their character. Yes, they're endearing. Yes, they're great. But I just don't feel like that lead role is that difficult to play. It's the supporting characters that really amplify the show and get the messages across. And honestly, are harder to play. Is that crazy? Does anybody agree? Like, no. I was going to say like Christian, but no, Christian in Act 1, sure. Christian in Act 2, absolutely not. He really sings for his supper in Act 2 and goes crazy and wow, amazing. So I don't know. I feel that way with Floyd Collins though. I feel like Jeremy Jordan's character, Floyd, I mean, he's sitting there. He's stuck in a cave. And I feel like a lot of the moments that dip in the musical are when we're in the cave. And the moments that really grab the audience's attention are when we're up on soil with everybody working to get him out of the cave. And those, of course, are the scenes that Jeremy is not in. So I don't know. Maybe that's a hot take, but that's my take. There you have it. So here's what's to come. I am seeing Real Women Have Curves next weekend, and I feel like that's really the last show that I need to see to fully have an idea of what I think should win the Tony Awards. Also, Just in Time, kind of. I do need to see it. I'm underestimating it. I'll say that. Like I very awarely am underestimating it, and I worry that maybe I'll see it and be like totally blown away. Maybe I can see it. Maybe I can see it soon before next week. Before we do Tony nomination reactions. I think I probably could. Maybe I'll see it this week because I don't have anything else planned. So I'll make a plan to see Just in Time. That way I fully have an idea of all of the musicals that are going to be nominated. Completely, 100%. Also Pirates of Penzance. Okay, wait, the list goes on and on. Yeah, honestly, I might need to see those two this week to round it all out. And you know what? I'm okay to do that. I can do that. So those are my goals for this week, just so we're all on the same page. And with that, everybody, let's get on into our Broadway grosses. So this is for the week ending on April 20th, and our number one at $3.8 million higher than last week, if it is even possible, is Good Night and Good Luck. Number two, we have Wicked beating out Othello, which was our previous number two. So Wicked has 3.3 million. Othello has 3.1. The Lion King has 2.9 million, and Glengarry Glen Ross is our number 5. I have heard crazy things about Glengarry Glen Ross. I know that I will not be seeing it. So I heard that the first act is only 30 minutes long, which leads me to believe the second act might only be 30 minutes long. Let's look up the runtime. So, and I heard that the first act is like 3 10-minute scenes, like featuring the 3 lead actors, but they're not all together. This is all coming from Broadway Ben on TikTok, by the way. I watched his review and I was like, whoa, a 30-minute act 1? Unheard of. Oh, it's 1 hour and 45 minutes. So that means, and that's including the intermission. So that means the second act is twice as long at 1 hour. That's weird. Okay, but anyways, I won't be seeing it. I know that much. And I just heard that it was like really boring. It sounds kind of like McNeil, like to the fact of like these long extended scenes. And a 10-minute scene doesn't seem that long, but like, I don't know, when no other action is happening and it's just 2 people going at it, I don't know, it gets a little boring, I have to admit. So number 6 is Hamilton, 7 is Aladdin, MJ is 8, Harry Potter is 9, and The Outsiders is 10. So that's great. This is even accounting for a touristy week, considering this was the weekend of Easter. Moulin Rouge is 11. So there you have it. Jordan Fisher definitely amped up those grosses. It might fizzle out. That's typically what we see with Moulin Rouge whenever they get somebody in who's really hot and exciting. Hot as in like on fire, not hot as in like, ooh, sexy. Just thought I needed to clarify. But yeah, that's how it goes. Usually that spikes and then it'll settle out. Also, Boy George is back in. So he brought up the grosses last time. I'm sure he's going to do it again. Great Gatsby is 11. Gatsby has solidified themselves as a tourist show. So good for them. Wow, Hell's Kitchen is right behind Gatsby at 13. That's great. 96%. So that means they are also a touristy show. Brent and I were talking just last week on the podcast about how long we think Hell's Kitchen is going to last. And the fact that they had 96% capacity, that's really good for them. So let's see. Stranger Things is doing pretty good. Let's look at our bottom of the grosses. Okay. Lowest grossing musical, everyone, once again, is Real Women Have Curves. This is totally feeling like a Tammy Faye situation. Their opening, as I am recording this, is tonight. So we will have their reviews. Hopefully, as everybody has been saying, the show is amazing. A lot of people have said it's their favorite of the season, which is saying a lot because we have such good shows this season. So Real Women Have Curves. Hopefully they get great reviews and then they'll start marketing more. I think it's going to be a really star-studded red carpet. They had Eva Longoria and Sofia Vergara do like a talk back the other night. So these things are definitely going to start like gaining attention and people are going to start realizing, oh, the show is on Broadway right now. Let's go see it. But right now, like really terrible grosses. Nothing even remotely close to something that could sustain them on Broadway for any time at all, and 73% capacity. So yikes, not great. Dead Outlaw is also not doing well at all. They have 98% capacity. Somebody said something interesting to me though. They said these shows that are in previews and like have just opened, their grosses really can't be looked at because there are so many press tickets that are being handed out. And I have benefited from that for sure. And I do wonder how many of like how valid this truly is for these shows that are still in previews because of all of the press tickets that are handed out. I don't know. And I do think that there is some effect of that, but I don't know like how many people in the audience are press. I don't think it's even half. So yeah, it's an interesting concept though that I hadn't thought of. So those are our lowest grossing musicals. Floyd Collins also isn't doing that well. They grossed just over $500,000 and they had 85% capacity. Both times when I've gone, there have been a lot of empty seats. So that does not surprise me in any way. Pirates of Penzance is also, their grosses are pretty low. Their capacity is good though. That theater is really small. Really small. They had a 97% capacity, so I guess that is fine. Sunset Boulevard had a low week last week, grossing just over $500,000 as well with 85% capacity. These capacities are like looking kind of crazy. Boop is grossing below Redwood. I find that interesting. Last 5 years is just barely grossing more than Redwood too, which is wild. Operation Mincemeat is really successful. Just in Time is really successful. Yeah, it's very interesting right now, you guys. It's such a wild time. Everything's just like either just opened or about to open, and Just in Time also did just open and they got pretty good reviews, 75% good reviews. So good for them. I didn't think that they were going to get great critical reviews because I thought it was going to be one of those shows the general public is just like, it's fun, it's fresh, like go see it. But no, the critics liked it as well. So that's a huge accomplishment. So this has been the week of Broadway mishaps. You've probably seen on Maybe Happy Ending socials and Sunset Boulevard, they both had mishaps, medical emergencies, technical difficulties, and they found really creative, fun ways to mitigate the audience's, I guess, satisfaction with the show. So basically, first of all, what happened with Maybe Happy Ending, apparently there was a medical emergency for somebody who was in the orchestra. It's been said that everything is fine. Don't worry, they're good. So now we can just like enjoy what happened without feeling guilty about it. So it was so cool. Apparently it happened right before they were gonna do the On the Road Part 3 song. We're finally hitting the road. That's what it's called. And each of our cast members sang a little special song, something that's not in the musical, which I was like, wait, do we have to get the rights to that? No. It's just for fun. But I was like, oh, wait, that's interesting that they sang these non-licensed songs in a Broadway musical, or in a Broadway show, I guess, not in the musical. But either way, very fun, very creative. And it was definitely a media moment for sure. We were all talking about it. It was so cute. Helen J. Shin sang Shallow, from A Star is Born, and she sang Somewhere Over the Rainbow. Des Duran sang Fly Me to the Moon. I would have loved to be there to hear that. I love Des Duran's music. He actually has music on Spotify, like his own music that he released, and it is really good. I listen to it often. And then Darren Criss sang, of course, Teenage Dream, his star song from Glee. So that audience was so lucky, and that was so cool. But it's such a coincidence that this happened to multiple Broadway shows in 1 week, because Sunset Boulevard also had technical difficulties. I don't know what they were. A technical mishap. So, and they canceled their show. Maybe Happy Ending was able to restart their show, I believe, but Sunset had to cancel it. Tom Francis and Nicole Scherzinger came out on stage and they were like, we're so sorry. We can't go on with the show. And then all of a sudden, Nicole Scherzinger ran off stage. She grabs a bullhorn. She grabs her phone. She plays the backing track to With One Look, and she just belts it through the bullhorn. How special is that? And I'm sure everybody got refunded. I bet everybody at Maybe Happy Ending got refunded too. I watched the whole video for Nicole Scherzinger, and she sounded so good, even through a bullhorn. And I just think she's a marvel. She's awesome. She really is. Like, her voice is beautiful, and I love the fact that she treats Broadway with such respect. Y'all know I don't love Sunset Boulevard. Y'all know that's not my favorite musical, but I definitely have respect for her and Tom Francis and the absolute talents that they are. But this got me thinking, these technical mishaps, they are what make live theater so beautiful and profound and wonderful and special, because these people got literally once in a lifetime viewing of these shows. And of course, Sunset had to cancel. That sucks, but that's so special that one, you got your refund and you still got to hear Nicole Scherzinger sing like one of the best songs in the whole entire musical. So that's awesome. But I started thinking, what are the craziest technical mishaps that I've observed in a theater? And of course, like, they range from like a delayed start. I've had a lot of delayed starts, especially recently. Tammy Faye had a very awkward delayed start. And then I also just remembered they also had to stop and restart. A fire alarm kept going off. I thought it was just a delayed start because I remember, so basically, I'm sure all of y'all have been in a Broadway theater where they come over the intercom and they're like, hello, please turn off all of your cell phones and enjoy the show. Somebody should hire me to make those because that was pretty fun. Anyways, so then usually lights go out and then boom, the orchestra starts up and the show begins, like within the next 5 seconds of that little announcement. Well, at Tammy Faye, the announcement happened and we were all sitting there for, I think, like 5 minutes. And we were like, okay, well, that's awkward, because we all quiet down and then like a few people start talking and then there's a few like awkward laughs and then all of a sudden we're like, okay, the show's not starting. And then we all like roar up and start talking again. And then all of a sudden, like awkwardly 5 minutes later, the show just begins. It's like weird. And that also happened at Boop recently. Like the announcement came over and then we all sat there awkwardly for like 3 minutes, like kind of in silent, awkwardly laughing, like, hee, when's the show starting? Anyways, those are like, it's no big deal. I don't mind it. But I do remember when I saw Tammy Faye, that fire alarm happened like 2 or 3 times and the cast just had to exit the stage. They just got off the stage and like Christian Borle just like stopped where he was, looked around and like walked off. But yeah, that was just low-key par for the course, unfortunately, for Tammy Faye. That show was riddled with unluckiness. But Paradise Square, I also remember because I attended the very first preview for Paradise Square, subtle flex, and they had a huge prop piece. I think it was like a whole background of one of the sets that all of the crew members had to come out and push it out. I'm sure it was supposed to be on a moving track, and they came out and pushed it. And then, of course, probably my favorite, most beloved technical problem that happened was when Brent Comer was bringing out the table in The Outsiders, and he brings it out and then he starts singing Runs in the Family and the table just breaks. And he goes, well, that's great. And Jason Schmidt is just losing his mind laughing. And Brent's like, oh no, I've got it. You don't have to help. And Jason like hops up and tries to help because one of the legs of the table just plumb fell off. So they kind of try to like prop it up to make the table stay, which honestly, like people could have thought that that was meant to happen. But I think the audience's reaction would have clued them in that that was obviously like a fail moment. But the way they handled it was just so funny. Oh, I love when things go awry in the theater. It's just so fun. Of course, there's all the time, like people accidentally drop a prop or like a hat falls off in a choreography number. That happens all the time. But it is always fun to be like, ooh, what are they going to do? How are they going to remove that prop? How are they going to like mitigate it? You know? I love it. I love live theater. But yeah, it was definitely the week for Broadway mayhem and mishaps. That'll probably be the title of this episode. Broadway's gone crazy. That's the thumbnail. Okay. Sorry. Okay, so we did get some new awards information this week, and I do not want to give y'all fatigue this early, so we'll just talk about it for a second, but I do want us all to note that the Outer Critics Circle have announced their nominations. It was announced by the O'Mary cast, Cole Escola and Connor Rickamora, I want to say. Is that how you say his name? Anyways, so these awards are for off-Broadway, on-Broadway, and they're non-gendered. And so I really like it. I like the way that they do their nominations. It's really interesting. Do I agree with their nominations? No. Looking at it, I was like, Stranger Things leads in play nominations. What? Which I haven't seen it, so can't give too much hate, but I just thought that was interesting. And some of their choices I just didn't agree with and didn't think were probable or at all an indication for what the Tony Awards are going to do. However, I think it's interesting to note that Death Becomes Her led in nominations, followed by Maybe Happy Ending with the second most nominations. So Death Becomes Her had 12 noms. Maybe Happy Ending had 9. And like I stated, Stranger Things led in play nominations with 7 noms. I don't know, guys. Stranger Things, they had their opening night and the critics did not like it. They were not good. I wouldn't say they were altogether bad. I would just say they were like very lukewarm, like mid to bad. Just the critics were not a fan. But I think as a viewer, it sounds really good. But Josh was telling me, my friend Josh was telling me that I need to go into Stranger Things knowing a little bit about like the world, and I never watched the show, so I'm kind of like, wait, should I not see it because I don't know anything about the world of Stranger Things? Like how confused will I actually be? Don't know. So anyways, just I do want us to be aware of what other nominations are leading into Tony noms. That way we're at least a little bit prepared. Obviously, like imagine Maybe Happy Ending got like 2 noms, you know. That would suck. Of course, that's not going to be the world we live in, but at least we know, like, okay, interesting. Death Becomes Her led noms for Outer Critics. That could be an indication for Tonys. Yeah. Okay, so our last news story for this week is that we have a new musical in development. It is 10 Things I Hate About You. And if they don't have Miley Cyrus's songs, the 7 things I hate about you, your face, your hair, your old man, you love me, you like her, you made me laugh, you made me cry. They really need to redo that song for the musical. That is my recommendation. Just letting you know. But our creative team behind the show is very interesting. We have Carly Rae Jepsen, who is working on the music, alongside Grammy winner Ethan Gruska. Now, Ethan has written songs for Phoebe Bridgers, Bon Iver, Remy Wolf, Conan Gray, and John Legend. I would say all of those artists I just named, aside from John Legend, have a very similar vibe. Very alternative pop, right? So that's interesting. I like that. I think that's a musical style that we don't have on Broadway right now. We have so much country. Broadway is in its country era. Get your cowboy boots, get your cowboy hat, and head on over to Broadway because it's for you right now if you like country music. Which honestly, I thought about wearing my cowboy hat to go and see Dead Outlaw. And I think it was a missed opportunity. And I think that I should have. But I'll probably be back. But also, you don't wear hats in the theater. Like, can you imagine somebody wearing a cowboy hat directly in front of you? That would be horrible. Bryn showed me a photo yesterday of this guy at the Moulin Rouge, and his view was just this man in front of him wearing like a top hat, like an Abe Lincoln style top hat. And the caption was like, "It finally happened." And his view was completely blocked. He was probably on the third row center, and his view was completely blocked by this hat. I'm like, that's when you can, oh my gosh, totally tap somebody on the shoulder and say, "Please, can you remove your hat?" And then they reveal that they have like freaking Avatar arrow on their head or something like crazy. And you're like, okay, now this. Or like they take it off and it's like this huge mohawk. And you're like, okay, thanks. Anyways, making myself laugh. How did I get there? I have no idea how I got there. But anyways, I think this sounds really interesting. I don't know. I have not followed Carly Rae Jepsen's career past, hey, I just met you and this is crazy. Like, she is the one-hit wonder that you think about when you hear one-hit wonder. Like, she is it. She had a huge song and then faded into obscurity. I know that she's like pretty big in like primarily like the gay scene. Like, people love Carly. And I know she has released like a couple bops, but I don't know them, and they definitely haven't like pushed into like the forefront of music. So her career's kind of a mystery to me ever since 2012. I do know though, I went down a rabbit hole because when I was looking at this article, it said like Carly Rae Jepsen in parentheses Cinderella. I was like, Cinderella? Carly Rae Jepsen? She was in Cinderella? Look it up. Yeah, Girly was fully in Rodgers and Hammerstein's Cinderella opposite Fran Drescher, who is the evil stepmother. And I looked everywhere. I scoured the internet for a slime tutorial of her. I could not find a single one. I found a 5-second clip on TikTok of her singing one song at Cinderella's ball, and that was it. And the person was making fun of her voice, and it was not enough for me to be like, was she good? Was she not? But this is very interesting to me. Like, would I have pegged Carly Rae Jepsen to develop a musical? No. No. Like I previously stated, one-hit wonder. Good one-hit wonder. Took the world by storm. But also, like, not somebody I would have thought would or could write a full musical. But her collaborator Ethan seems very, very notable, and like he has the chops to possibly do this. And then to further the point, our book is being written by Lena Dunham, who you may know from Girls. So I don't believe she's written a musical before. So this is very interesting. Although Girls was her show, she wrote that show. So she definitely has experience doing this kind of thing. I think she would be really good as a musical writer. I don't really know why I think that. I just could see it. And then, so Christopher Wheeldon is going to be directing and choreographing. Choreographing. Oh my God. I'm so sorry. Choreograph is a weird word to read. I'm sorry. But this Chris guy, he was the, I assume, director and choreographer for MJ the musical. Worked on it in some capacity, with which hopefully it's the choreography, because that show's choreography is next level so good. So he's our director and choreographer. And then music supervision, arrangements, and orchestrations are by Tom Kitt, who worked on Next to Normal. So I don't know. It's a very interesting group of folks. I'm intrigued. I think that this movie starring Heath Ledger and Julia Stiles came out in 1999. It's a cult classic. I think it's going to be fabulous. I could definitely see it as a musical. And who are we casting? Who are we casting as Heath Ledger? Jason Schmidt, right? Duh. Who are we casting as the girl? Mackenzie Kurtz, duh. So I think this is going to be a really great musical for Jason Schmidt to make his lead Broadway debut, principal cast debut in, I wouldn't say Soda's like a lead character, right? He's principal, but not lead. Anyways, yeah, so I could see this. I'm excited. We don't know anything except for that. We don't have casting. We don't have times. We don't have a theater or anything. We just know the team is ready, and the fact that they have like a choreographer and everyone assigned to it leads me to believe this is coming probably in like the 2026-2027 season. And I'm always looking because Playbill.com has this list of musicals that are in development. And this has been one that has been on that list for probably 3 years. So let's go back to the list real quick just to see what else is coming down the pipeline, because they actually do come to fruition and become a real thing from this list. Okay, I found the list. First, let's start off with the shows that are announced for the 2025-2026 season, but they do not have a confirmed date or venue. So obviously they could fade into oblivion and not come to Broadway, or they could definitely be announced tomorrow. But let's just talk about the musicals for now. Okay, so Lost Boys. This is one that a lot of people have been talking about so far. So it's a stage adaptation of the 1987 cult classic film about a gang of teenage vampires. That is not what I was expecting that sentence to say at all, but sure, I could totally see a vampire musical coming to Broadway. Okay, interesting. It's going to play at the Palace Theater, and the preview is set for spring 2026, so it's already coming. Oh, Rocky Horror is coming. Dolly, of course, is coming. It says the first preview is booked for 2026, but they don't know anything past that. Okay, so those are all of the shows that we know are supposed to be coming in 2025, 2026. Now let's talk about what is in the works. So 13 going on 30, that has been in development for a while. I've started to see more and more pop up about that, so I feel like we're going to have an announcement soon. 17 again, that already has an album on Spotify. I'm not sure if it's a full album or just a couple of songs, but I've listened to them and I like them. The songs have Casey likes in them, and they're really good. I think that's going to come. Beaches. So I've heard about this. I actually think that this is going on a national tour first. A musical about the best-selling novel, which became a 1988 film starring Bette Midler and Barbara Hershey. The musical will launch a national tour in 2026. Okay, yeah. That's what I heard about it. Beat Street. This is a new musical based on a 1984 hip-hop film classic. Okay, that is sounding a little bit similar in a way to Take the Lead. And I need Take the Lead to come to Broadway desperately. The Bodyguard, I have seen this on the list for a really long time, and I want it to become a musical. I love that movie starring Whitney Houston and Kevin Costner. I think it'd be really good, and it's an adaptation based on the movie. It did have a stage musical that toured in 2017, 2018. So maybe I could find clips of that and see what I think. That would be fun. Coal Miner's Daughter, we talked about that. That is based off of Loretta Lynn, and they've talked about Sutton Foster working on the workshop for that. So I think that's definitely going to come next season. Crazy Rich Asians. I'm excited about that. We know that's being developed. Dirty Dancing, we talked about that. Dreamgirls, again, a new revival. Fahrenheit 451. Wow. Oh, it's a play adaptation. But also Gatsby, that played at the American Repertory Theater in Boston. That's scheduled to come. Greatest Showman, of course, we know that. There's so much. This list is so long. Karate Kid, La La Land, Magic Mike. I think that's awesome. Like, I really want a Magic Mike Broadway musical. I've never been to any of that, but there is a video of Derek Klena singing the songs at a workshop, and I think it sounds amazing. I think that sounds so cool, so fun. It would get so many bachelorette parties that come to New York, even though do any bachelorette parties really come to New York? I don't know. I just think it's cool. And y'all know I love Men on Broadway. It's my kryptonite. Oh, Nancy Drew. I really want Nancy Drew to come to Broadway. The Nanny, a Nanny adaptation musical. I'm so in. So in. And I feel like they could get Fran Drescher because she was at the premiere of Just in Time. And like I said, she was the evil stepmother in Cinderella. So I feel like they could have Fran Drescher, maybe instead of she's the nanny, she's the head of the house figure. And the new nanny is a young man to kind of flip the gender role. I don't know. Is that genius? I kind of think so. And of course, we have to have Fran Drescher in the Nanny musical adaptation. She's so beloved. I love her so much. Okay, the list goes on and on, so I don't want to go through everything, but wow, is it so long. And I'm happy about the fact that we keep an eye on this list, because then we get to talk about it, and we already know that 13 going on 30 is in development, so we're not shocked when it comes across our desk on Playbill.com, because we're okay, yay, something made it out of the in the works section, and we know that it's coming. Cool. Even though it is technically still in the works. Well, everybody, that is this episode of From the Mezzanine. If you want more From the Mezzanine, you can join me over on the Patreon and become my personal Broadway bestie. We do exclusive bonus episodes every single week following the episode of From the Mezzanine called Meet Me at the Stage Door. On Meet Me at the Stage Door, we gush and gossip a little bit more, dive deeper into the shows that I saw this week, and also I have special segments called Broadway Boyfriend of the Week and What Song I'm Adding to My Broadway Playlist. So join me over on the Patreon, become my Broadway bestie for $5.99 a month. You can go to patreon.com/fromthemezzanine, and I will see you over there. Please leave me a rate and review wherever you are listening. It does such incredible things for the podcast, and I just appreciate it so much when y'all do that. It allows the podcast to reach new ears and new heights, and it's honestly just an amazing way to give From the Mezzanine a little boost in the charts and reach new folks who want to hear about Broadway and all of that. So thank y'all once again so much for listening on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube. You can always watch the episodes on YouTube or on Spotify. And that's the tea, you guys. I'll see y'all next time. Bye!